And we are now joined by the head coach of Auburn Tiger football, Coach Hugh. Coach, we'll start with this. You caught a little bit of heat for your preferences when it comes to pizza in Auburn, Alabama. Have you diversified the portfolio at all when it comes to those restaurants?
Honestly, I told my wife and daughters, hey, obviously I need to expand my horizon some, but we haven't done pizza since that night yet. So I did get them to get the list from the press conference of all the mentions there, and we'll start trying some different places. But I still would kind of stand by my word that I did enjoy Old Italy. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I had a friend from Auburn, and I asked him, I was like, is Coach Freeze on the money here? He said, absolutely. That's the best spot in Auburn. So those are his words, so you have somebody else in your corner there. But, Coach, a lot of people, when the Auburn job became open, saw the fit for Auburn to go out and get you. But what made the Auburn job the right fit for you and your family?
Yeah, that's a great question because I had such a great job. I honestly knew that Jill and I and the girls fit very well on the mountain at Liberty, and we're set up, I think, there to have great success moving into Conference USA. And so, not just any job would just make me jump from there. Very very few would, honestly. But we always kind of felt like ever since Jordan went to school here and my good friend Gus was here and knew so much about it, and we've always just felt like this is a place that we fit, and that the culture of it, the recruiting base, kind of where we might want to retire one day, in an area that's close to our parents and our children and our grandchildren, that we're getting ready to have one here shortly. And then you combine that, it's a place that I believe can compete for it all, win it all. And obviously it's done it before, and that's a tall task, but I believe it can be done. So you combine all of those things together in a place that we thought we would enjoy living and being a part of the community. That's made the decision to leave Liberty doable. And again, that was not easy to leave there, but Auburn's one of the few that I would have considered leaving for.
Coach, with A-Day this week, everybody is going to be watching your quarterback room between Robbie and TJ and Holden. How are you evaluating them in this A-Day? And then what is it going to take to be your starting quarterback at Auburn?
Yeah, I don't think that the evaluation on a quarterback is a one-day deal. This will just be a piece of the pie come Saturday. Just like today will be. We're keeping we've got a folder in a book that has every grade for their execution decision making, and that book's going to go long beyond spring practice 15. But every one is an opportunity for one of them to prove that they're closer to being prepared for that job. But it's going to take great competition, and it's going to take someone who's able to do it over a length of time, even in the way that they lead and operate when you're not in practice sessions. And I think that's something that's been missing a little bit, that they haven't been challenged on as much. If you really want to be the guy, then what does that look like in, May and June and July? And is it bringing the locker room together or apart? And all of those things I've challenged them on, and we're going to see, how it happens in those off months, and then obviously in fall camp. But I don't want anybody to be under any kind of misnomer or misinformation. This thing's going to go into fall camp, and if you can't handle that as one of the guys, that tells me a lot. And I want everybody to be clear on that picture. We're a long way away from being ready to say who that guy is.
And someone who has a great track record working with quarterbacks is your OC, Philip Montgomery. How far along are y'all in installing the offense, and what can you expect, and Auburn fans expect, from your offense stylistically in 2023?
I'm pleased with what we've put in this spring. Obviously, it's with it being totally new verbiage, totally new schemes. to what they were used to. It's not everything, but it was enough for us to kind of figure out, this we have a chance to be decent at this run scheme or this RPO scheme or this pass game. Um, Fall camp and game planning, I think we'll be able to get more in, but I'm pleased with what we got in this spring, and we're going to be a mixture of tempo and non-tempo, and some of that still to be determined. How much of what, based on, I think you've got to play complementary football that is best for the whole team, not just for your side. And sitting in my chair, I think I have a better understanding of that than I once did, and really tried to do that well at Liberty and play, really complimentary football. And I think it benefited our defense greatly, but used tempo when I needed to. And so I think whatever percentage of that, we're still a ways away from, determining who that is, and probably a few games in before we know, hey, this is kind of who we need to be in a current game. But Phillips always had exciting offenses, and I'd like to think we've been pretty good offensively at the places we've been to, and it's been fun to kind of collaborate with him on how we see this developing.
And Coach, what are some of the names or position groups rather within your team that you think are really going to surprise some people come the fall?
I don't. It's hard for me to say what a surprise would be to the Auburn faithful. I think our running back room is solid. I think our tight end room is very solid. And, I think we've improved ourselves in the O-line room compared to last year. What does that mean? How far did we close the gap? I don't know that. I just think we've improved ourselves. And so I think we improved ourselves in our D-line room. So I don't know if those are going to be surprises or not. I think that's kind of what everybody's expecting. We've still got a ways to go in the receiver room, quarterback room, and every room, O-line too. But I do think we're solid in the running back and tight end room for sure.
And Coach, you sat down with some of our guys from Auburn Live, the Auburn on 3 site, before spring practice, and you were very transparent. You're like, hey, we may be in the market for a quarterback or a linebacker or wide receiver post-spring practice. Now, having gone through quite a few practices, is that still the way that you feel about those position groups?
Yeah, I mean, none of us have dealt with this spring portal. This will be our first experience with it. I think it can affect you both ways. I think you can lose some that you may not want to lose, and obviously you hope that there's some out there that you can attract to help create more depth and experience on our team. And I said it the other day in the press conference, we're open to the portal business when it opens on April the 15th. At pretty much not every spot, but not. I mean, we'll take a few more old linemen. We'll take another safety, another corner, a rush guy. We'll take a quarterback possibly if it's the right one. I mean, we're open. So I'm curious to see kind of who all goes in.
No, absolutely. I mean, the post portal or the post spring portal era is going to be absolutely wild, I'm sure, for y'all. It'll be wild for us here within the media, but one thing that hasn't changed from talent acquisition has been recruiting at the high school level. And y'all have already been getting after it. I mean, been absolute dogs on the trail in 2024. What has been your philosophy and your approach to recruiting that 2024 class so far?
Just be persistent, and prove that this culture and environment here is one that the right group of young men together can restore it to the great days of playing for national championships and come, do something new and fresh at a place that you're going to flourish in as a young man, a young student, and an athlete. So we've been pretty persistent with that, and I think Auburn does a good job of selling itself with this environment that it has on campus and that we're creating in this building and on the practice fields. And so my message is simple, man. Come and see.
Come and see. I love that. Absolutely love that. Now, you've also been really transparent about the timeline for you when it comes to getting Auburn where you expect it to be. You said it's not going to be an overnight fix. For you, what is that timeline when it comes to the expectations you have for Auburn?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think you got to, when you look at the end result of the 24 recruiting class and the 25 recruiting class, I think we probably need to have another discussion then. But, I think those are going to be critical as to whether or not we're able to do it in my tenure here. And I believe that with all my heart. And that's why we're working so hard at the 24 and 25 class.
All right, great. We'll put that on the calendar, and we'll schedule that for 2025 and make sure we get that on the books. Coach, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. You mentioned the other day how you think it'd be a great idea if Auburn or Alabama were able to scrimmage some of those other, I don't want to say lower level, but smaller schools in state and benefit charities or whatever it may be. I had a question for you, and we talked about it before we got on air. Developmentally, do you see any drawbacks from scrimmaging another team as opposed to having an internal scrimmage for your spring game?
I don't. I think it obviously is going to challenge you as a coach. You're not going to spend time game planning. I wouldn't. I would use that third non-padded practice that we all say to do before the spring game. I would use it to have some walkthroughs, probably based on what kind of fronts you're going to see. And here's the great thing, and I'm sure others would do the same, and defenses work on. But the thing is, coaches have to be able to adjust in games. Our game plans are not always right, so it's another great training exercise for us all. And here's the thing that probably a lot of, and this may not be 100% accurate with every coach, but I know for myself, I hope you'll air this somewhere and let people see it. But I know for myself, John Sumrall is a friend of mine. Kane Womack is a friend of mine. Trent Dilfer is a friend of mine. Nick Saban's a friend of mine also. But I don't know. I can't speak for every head coach, but I don't care if we would get together and get on the phone and say, all right, hey, John, Kane, Trent, how do you want this to look? What do you want to see from us? What do you want? I mean, we would honestly, it would be good, I think, for both sides to be able to, have to adjust and have to, compete. And it's not about, to me, and I know all the fans will say he's crazy and stuff, but to me, it's not about winning the spring game as much as it is, did we get the most out of our 15 opportunities? And I think that would be a great way to end it. And not to mention, I think the greatest thing from doing what I'm suggesting is the benefit it would be to the less fortunate and those that are going through hard times within your state. And I think college football on one given Saturday in the state of Alabama could make an impact on whether it's foster care, orphan care, feed the hungry, Red Cross, tornado damage victims. I mean, think about all the things that we could do if all of us said, hey, we're going to, and even North Alabama and Alabama State and every school in the state, whenever your spring game is, we just agree that we're going to benefit this group of people for this year on our spring game charity event. I just think it would make a big dent in some places that are needed, and we could help with that. And you combine that with competing and getting better with another school. I think it's a great idea.
And on top of that, I mean, I'm sure it'd be a phenomenal TV product as the SEC network and all these other networks are already picking up spring games. But no, without a doubt, I hope that conversation continues. Coach, last question for you. We appreciate all your time. What is your vision for Auburn football?
To develop young men that go out into society and have learned valuable lessons from this coaching staff and from our playing experiences. Both good and bad, and hopefully learn from the times we've made mistakes and the times we got it right, and learn that your beliefs truly drive your behaviors, which will create some type of habit that will give you a result. Do all of that all while winning a national championship.
Well, Coach, once again, we appreciate you making time between recruiting, getting ready for the spring game, pizza reviews. Know you got a lot on your plate. So, again, thanks for making some time. Looking forward to seeing y'all in the fall here real soon.